YouTubers, headhunters, space detectives, pareidolia police and Martian archaeologists. Today we are looking at this image from Sol 2093. Here's the information at the bottom of the image there, Sol 2093. So it's an official NASA image taken by the Curiosity Rover. Unfortunately it has this grid over the image. They've been doing that a lot with recent images and it's very hard to see any detail, but luckily this particular Sol was put into a Gigapan by Neville Thompson, which I'll show you in a minute, which is really cool. So credit to Neville Thompson. But this is really weird, and obviously if you've seen the cover of the video, you would have seen what this is about already. So I may as well crack straight on with it and show you it. Here is the Gigapan by Neville T. So MSL, that's Mars Science Laboratory, 2093, Northeast, complete by Neville Thompson. And the part of the image to look at is the bottom right corner here, okay? I'm not going to show you the whole image. There's loads of weird things in this Gigapan, but most of it's just rock and kind of broken up little pieces and stuff like that. But in this particular area, not only do we have this rather strange golden object here, which may be something, don't know what that is. I'll show you a clip of that in a minute. But we have this thing down here. Now this is really small and it looks like a head on a small post, which is on some kind of weird plinth here, which is really strange. Okay, let's go full screen. I'll show you it full screen. We've got this reflective rock in, here below, and we have this strange shaped, almost boat shaped kind of plinth or whatever it is, a platform with a post sticking up and a head attached to it with what looks like a nail going through the top here, a black nail. You can see a forehead, an eye here, a little nose, a mouth here, and an ear there, and the chin coming under here. And this is like a little post or stand. Now this thing is only inches in height. I would say about 2 or 3 inches, perhaps 4, but no bigger than that. This is really small. It may only be 1 or 2 inches. Very small indeed. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the folder I've got here and I'll show you the close-up clips I've got. Now, when you look at the images from this Sol, they're all like this one here. They're all like this. They all have this grid on there and you can't see any detail. If you get too close, you can kind of see it here if you get the right distance, but it's really hard when you zoom in to see any detail. I'm sure this is why they leave this grid on a lot of these images. They've been doing that a lot recently. It's a form of obfuscation and censorship, basically, because it's difficult to remove the grid without destroying detail in the image. Okay, so, but I did that anyway, and here I'll show you the clips. I'm going to run through them in order, okay? Here's the basic clip, or a basic clip. There's the post there, but it's very vague. I've had to blur the image to get rid of the grid, but it's made the image very soft focus and smoky looking. It's a poor quality image anyway. There's the centered one. If you add contrast, it starts to come to life. You can see it, okay? But it's still very blurry. More contrast, brightness. More contrast, brightness. Now, I've colour filtered it. I've given it a colour filter, and what I've done is I've carefully drawn around the head and colorized it to make it stand out so you can actually see what I'm trying to show you here. Also take note, this rather strange boat-shaped platform that it's on has something here that looks like a skull here with horns sticking up. Now, it may not be, it may be something else, but it seems to have some kind of fossilized structure here. Whether that's a skull or not, I couldn't say, but it looks a bit like one. It's got an eye socket and a forehead and horns sticking up there, and a sort of nose coming down there. Not really sure. The main thing we're looking at is this. Let's go to the next one, the close-up. When you get really close, it doesn't get any clearer, but that gives you a general idea. It's very blurred, so obviously the reason I've colorized it is so that people on mobile devices can see this reasonably clearly. Okay, I mean that was about it really. There's a further back one there. There's the raw image that I took the grid off by blurring it. There it is. It's definitely there. Even though the image quality is pretty poor, it's there. You can definitely see it. You can even see that black nail going through the top there. Okay, right, so let's look at the other clip I've got here. I've got some Gigapan clips of it, taken straight from Neville T's Gigapan. There's a closer one here. That's actually clearer. He's gone in pretty dark with the contrast. He's cleaned up the image obviously, and he's gone in quite dark so you can actually see it. Okay, there it is. You can see a black object here that looks like a nail going through this part here at the top. You can see the face or head with an ear, chin, mouth, a nose here, an eye there, forehead. Now, what does that tell us? Now, I and other people have found many heads on Mars so far, but this is by far one of the most interesting. I only found this the other night, and I've been thinking about it, trying to get my head around it, and trying to work out what this actually means. You've got a strange bright thing here as well, don't know what that is. There's some kind of weird symmetry to this boat-shaped platform here, like there was something attached here. Perhaps there was something sticking up here, like I don't know. It's very, very odd indeed. This is absolutely insane. Just when I thought Mars was really crazy, it got even more crazy. I really don't know what to say about it, really. In our culture on Earth, or in some of our cultures on Earth, heads were put on posts as a warning sign or mounted on walls like hunting trophies. Okay, now is this a hunting trophy by some sort of very, very small Martian tribe that have left it on display to warn off other Martians or something like that? Is it part of some kind of ritualistic display, religious iconography? Don't know. It's hard to say either way. Let me show you the meme clip I've got here. There we are. Head nailed to post on Mars, and you can actually see it. I mean, I've got all three here. I've got the Gigapan clip here, I've got my clip here, and the raw clip here. And you can see it in all three, most clearly from the Gigapan, because that's much, much darker. You can see it. It's pretty small, but it's there. Okay? So that was totally insane. Now, I've got a few things I want to show you to compare to, but I'm not going to go too long on this because I could go on and on about all the other skulls I've found, but if you're already a subscriber, you would have seen many of the skulls that I've showed and statues, and it does look like some of them are either made of clay or carved from rock. And this, I don't know whether this is actually carved or an actual head that's been mounted. It's not enough detail here to tell either way. It's been nailed down. You can see that black thing there, that's a nail. You can just about see it going through. All right? Very, very strange indeed. What can I say? It looks like some kind of ritual marker or territorial marker or warning totem to warn off other tribal members from other tribes, perhaps. It's like a tribal marker. But it's on such a tiny scale, it's absolutely insane. Let's go back to the Gigapan a minute and try and get a sense of scale. Now, I would imagine the rover isn't very far from this, or it's kind of zoomed in to this spot here. But this is tiny. This is literally only a few inches, 2 or 3 inches tall, maybe 3 or 4, but it's probably nearer 2 to 3 inches. Absolutely insane. And you can see that kind of skull-shaped thing here when you brighten it up. Unbelievable. And what it reminded me of, actually, is some of the shrunken heads we see on Earth. I'll put links to all these pages below and images in the description as usual, so feel free to download them and have a look yourself and check out some of this stuff. This was interesting. The shrunken heads of Jivaro tells you how they made them. What they used to do is actually remove the skull from the head, leaving the skin and the hair, and then boiling it for slow boiling it in a pot for a couple of hours until it shrunk. And then what they would do is then turn it inside out and remove all the flesh from the inside. So it's basically just the outer skin and the hair, eyes sewn up and everything else. Interesting. I won't go through all that now. If you're interested in that, you can check it out. Heads mounted on Earth, of course. We mount heads on walls and stuff, like hunters' trophies. There's some taxidermy here, some crazy shit here. What the hell's that all about? I mean, it's weird when you look up stuff now on Google Images. It doesn't seem to work very well. You get those are really stupid things come up. I think what it is that people put weird tags on their images, and they often things that aren't related come up. Yeah, that was crazy. What else could it be? I mean, there are totem poles, of course, which are a different thing altogether. I have found similar things to totems on Mars, but also on a much smaller scale, very small scale. Some of them are only inches high, and some of them are only 1 or 2 feet high. But generally what we see on Mars is only the very top of the totem pole, and the rest of it's kind of buried in the sand. I do have an example of that, I'll show you in a minute. But like some of the images we see on Mars, the faces, the carved faces are often quite grotesque, like these are, and quite extreme, and may even be brightly painted. But because the images are censored, they're either in black and white, or they're and have this kind of grid over it, or they've got the orange filter on them, which is basically a semi kind of infrared image. You don't see the colour. You don't see the real colours for some reason. We don't get real colour images. They're RGBO, red, green, blue, orange, and this image has been processed to give it some colour. We know the sand is mainly blue, so this is probably fairly close to the actual colour, I would say. So there we are. I mean, what can I say about it apart from the fact that this is really weird and it looks like some kind of tribal marker. Some of the skulls and statues I've shown have got what look like eyes placed back in the skull, like we have here from Mexico. It was common in many sort of ancient cultures for them to keep mummies of their ancestors and then place semi-precious stones in the eye sockets, like we have here. This is just nuts, absolutely nuts. What's all that about? Yeah, really crazy. Yeah, that's obviously some kind of art form. But this isn't dissimilar to what I'm seeing with some of the Mars images. Some of the art and iconography of Central and South America, as in the Olmecs, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and such like, is very similar. Some of the statues look kind of Egyptian. Some of them look kind of Olmec. Some of them don't. Some of them look very alien indeed. Some of them look like alien grays. So we have this one here. This is one of my favourites. This is what I call the Olmec head, or the Cyclops, actually. And you can actually see that it's got a huge ear just here. It's really dark in the image. It's been deliberately darkened so you can't see it. And you've got an eye here, which is white. And there is even pupil detail here. This looks like a semi-precious stone that's been placed in the actual statue head. There should have been another one next to it here, but it's probably fallen out. So we're just seeing a kind of gap here. There is the enhanced image. This is very large as well. That's one of the larger statue heads on Mars. That one I would say was about 2 to 3 feet high, which by Mars standards is big. Most of these are very small. This one's quite big as well. So basically not only do we have skulls and statues with clear eyes in them, like I showed in my previous video, but we have now what looks like some weird kind of totem or shrunken head attached to a post or plinth with a post sticking up from it, which is really odd indeed. Let's go back to that again quickly before we finish. Don't want to take too long. Let's go back to the main image there. That's the one we want, E2 there. There we have it. What do you guys think? Is it an actual shrunken head? There's no hair on it. Is it a carving that's been attached to a post? Why would a carving be attached to a post like that? Very strange indeed. You can see more detail there. Let's go back to this clip here, because that actually shows more detail. You can actually see it. It's a bit fuzzy, yes. It's very small, so that's understandable. The image quality isn't brilliant, but it's there. And let's have a look at it from that one. That's number 4. That's the last one I did. It's actually best from this distance. You can actually see more detail of this thing down here as well, which looks like a skull of a goat or some kind of weird creature, I don't know. But that just may be some kind of patternicity in the rock that looks like that. Couldn't say either way with that really, it's not really clear enough. But this is definitely a post. It looks fuzzy in this version of the image because I had to blur it to get rid of the grid. But it's definitely there. Absolutely definitely there. And you can just about make out there's like a little nipple on top here and a little stick or nail going into the post. In fact, I'll very quickly stick it in here and I'll brighten it up. Let's just brighten that right up and see if we can see that a bit clearer. That's that one there, number 5. Let's go with number 5. Let's go really bright and see what happens. Let's go up 10. Let's see if we can see any more detail. It's starting to break up, but you can just about see there's like a little thing going through the top there, which looks like a nail. Just going through the top, okay? Let's undo that. Let's go darker. Let's go much darker. Okay. It looks kind of clearer like that. But then you lose other details. So there we are. Head on a post, head nailed to a post on Mars. Now the question is it a piece of jewelry? This is jewelry sized almost. This actual head is about 1 inch, maybe 2 at most. I would say about 1 inch. It could be hollow, it could be made of gold, it could be made of some other precious metal, but somehow I think it may just be an actual head. Very odd indeed. Ritually placed as a warning symbol or sign to warn off other tribes, other aliens, other Martians, us perhaps. Perhaps there's a warning to it. Perhaps this was only placed there a day or two or hours before the rover actually got to this spot. We have to consider the possibilities here. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that may be the case. Because people have said before that some of these skulls and heads, especially the statue heads, I have noticed a lot of them are all facing the same direction. There's a weird little thing here. There's a little skull just there. Not enough detail there though, but that's interesting. It's head shaped. A lot of them are very small. And there's a little block there, which is a little cube. That doesn't look natural. So there's other things in here. There's lots of weird little things. Please comment below. This has actually got me a bit perplexed. And it's quite shocking in some ways, I would say. Very tantalizing stuff. It looks like a tribal marker. Well, what else can I say? Or some kind of hunting trophy. Or totem. It's like a totem. Some kind of space ritual going on here. So ritualistically placed or not. Either way, it's very interesting indeed. So thanks for watching everybody. I'll put some clips in a second. I'll have links to these other things I showed you. as well. This is more tantalising, small but very tantalising and interesting detail here. And often the devil is in the detail, and often the small details, especially on a crime scene, are the ones that give away the perpetrator or lead you to find the truth. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.